You want to know what oatmeal tastes like in prison? A warehouse. That's right, a warehouse. You ever walked into a warehouse and the first thing that you taste is dust and cardboard? Well, that's what oatmeal tastes like in prison. You wake up in the morning, you go to the chow hall, and you watch them dudes slam, bam, with a big old spoon, a slab of oatmeal on your plate. And then you wondering to yourself, man, is this going to be that oatmeal that's like cardboard? Or is it going to be that oatmeal that tastes like okra? That's right. In the South, you still work the plantation. That's right. In prison, in the South, you work the field, gun line, get it how you live. And when you go in the kitchen in the morning and you indigent, or you even got money on your books, you still got to eat. Because in the South, in Louisiana, you're going to work that field. As soon as the sun comes up, they're going to call your name and you're going to say your DOC number. And you're going to walk out that gate and you're going to get in line until they count the line. And you can see the horses. You can smell horse maneuver. Smell like horse crap. You watch the horse crap right there, and you got to walk straight through it with them water boots on, them shrimp boots. You're going to walk through that horse poop, you know what I mean? And you know you're heading to the field all day long. And that's what you're thinking about when you're in the chow line, waiting to get your oatmeal slammed onto your tray. And you looking, and you get that oatmeal, and you sit down, and you got that state plastic spoon, and you staring down at it, and you thinking to yourself, dang, I still got 15 years left. Or dang, I still got 30 years left, and I'm 55. I'm going to die in here. I got a life sentence. I'm going to be eating this oatmeal forever. Man, this is bad. Then you get that oatmeal not knowing if you're going to taste that cardboard or you're going to get that okra oatmeal. That's right. You ever seen oatmeal that looks like okra? Okra sliming. If you ever made a gumbo, you got to clean, you got to wash, and you got to cook that slime out that okra. Well, in prison, they feed you okra during the day in a Louisiana prison because you plant and pick okra in the field, and then they cook it and they feed it to you, and you go do it all over again. Well, sometimes they don't clean them pots all that well, and then you get that slimy oatmeal, and you go to spoon your oatmeal, and you like, I got to do what I got to do to live. And you go to bite that oatmeal, and it got that slime, and you can see that slime from that okra dripping into that oatmeal. And that oatmeal got them skin flakes. That's what it looks like. Dandruff flakes in that oatmeal with okra. But you're going to eat that because you feel good. Today's going to be a good day. It ain't too hot. You know what I mean? A little overcast, you know? So you eat that oatmeal. Plus they got a boiled egg on your tray. But it's boiled so hard that all the shell sticks to the egg when you're peeling it, so you lose most of it. But you're a savage. You've been living like this for a while now. And so you eat the shell too. I'm looking at the table, man, and I got my oatmeal like this, and they put a little bit of sugar or some of that homemade jelly. You don't know what they made that jelly out of. That ain't nothing but that old cow tail. They drilled it, crushed it, spun it, threw some sugar in it. Gelatin. You can put that in your oatmeal. Give it a little bit of something, a little bit of sugar. But you see, you compromising, because if you put the sugar in your oatmeal, you ain't got no sugar for that tar water coffee that they gave you. So you just, you gotta weigh your options. But you a savage, you a cowboy, so you don't need no sugar in your coffee. You drink that cowboy, one sip after the next, right after that oatmeal. Cardboard mixed with okra. Ooh, molasses, thick, straight off the dusty saddle. Put that back down. You glad you got a cup of water. You raise your arm like this because you're at the table in the South. You can't get up. And guess what? You don't get to sit with your race or wherever you want. Wherever the next man's up in line, you don't mess with these white folks. That's what they call it. Even the white dudes call them the white folks are guards in prison in the South, in Louisiana. You just sit where you sit, and hopefully you sit at a table with somebody you could chop it up with. But don't nobody really want to chop it up in the morning anyway, because everybody's thinking about that field work. So you know what I mean? You eat your oatmeal, you know, you go dump your tray after you get your water. You going back to the dorm. You hope, you really do hope that your dorm is going to be the last dorm they call for work call. Work call means field work. You going in the field to catch your cut. You going to get a ditch bank blade. You know what I mean? You going to cut that grass, or you going to pick some kind of crop and put it in a bag so they could cook it later. All while 4 dudes with shotguns and rifles stare at you. And it's just like the old times. Anybody who worked on these prison gun lines on these prison fields knows sometimes the gun line starts doing hymns. They start singing songs, you know. And most of the time I didn't even like that. I just like the quiet. But people like to talk about stupid stuff in prison. And so now you're on the gun line and you fatigued. So you glad you ate that oatmeal. And it's all about that oatmeal. I ate my oatmeal. I ate my oatmeal, y'all. I didn't miss my oatmeal. Actually, I preferred oatmeal and grits, or grits and oatmeal. You know what I mean? Even though it had that okra slime in it. And so you on that gun line and you tired, because sometimes the gun line, you walk for miles just to get to the location, and you got your hope. And everybody who got their tool, the way you walk with your tool in the gun line, you know, 2 by 2, you walk with that tool on your shoulder like that. And then there's a line pusher. The line pusher is the main guard who's orchestrating the whole event. As you go to the field, he's telling you where to go, who's going to go where, who's going to get what tool, and how it's going to work. And then you got them dudes in the front carrying the cooler, because they do got to give you water. They don't want you to die in that field, even though some dudes, you know, do pass out and die in the field. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke. They go back and lose brain cells home. So you got to eat your oatmeal, and you got to eat them eggs with them shells so you can make it home to your family. And you got to eat that homemade state bread. It don't matter what's in it. You got to eat it. You eat whatever you can. Some of them dudes are picking up grasshoppers and they eating them raw, crunch. You looking at dude on the side, you like, you ate that grasshopper? And you know old boy indigent. He ain't got no money, no family. He's a vagabond. And dudes in prison ain't looking out for nobody but themselves. Every once in a while, somebody's like, say, bruh, you ain't got to eat that cricket. No, I'm going to give you a soup. And dude's eyes light up like, dang, I'm going to get a soup. I ain't had a soup in 2 weeks. I'm so hungry. You know what I mean? He overslept. He missed the oatmeal. Man, you can't oversleep in prison. Don't nobody care about that. You got to get caught up with somebody around. And they're going to wake you up, say, look, Chow. But sometimes them dudes are so savage, they don't even want Chow. Because life is just hard. They get depressed. They get stuck in a vicious cycle of like, I ain't eating. I'm a wilt away. But a survivor, he going to eat whatever he needs to eat. Because he knows he wants to get out. And even though it seems like he may never, you just never know. You got to keep hope. You can't let the people steal hope from you. You know? And sometimes that oatmeal is your hope. And that's the way prison works in the morning. And you better brush your teeth. Because you get in that child line and you start talking to a dude and the dude realize you ain't brush your mouth, that's a sign of disrespect. You might just get your face bashed in before you get a chance to get that oatmeal on your tray. Dudes start smelling your breath and know that you didn't brush. Man, you could drink that coffee like a cowboy, but you can't roll into no child line like a cowboy mouth. That's right. You got to brush this because dudes don't want to smell that right there. It's bad enough when you get back from child. You better hope you get one of them toilets. You know, not everybody can get a toilet, but work call. And you on that toilet, them people don't care that you had to poop. It's work call. Now you got to go catch your cut. You got to get in the field, but you still pooing. That's automatically aggravated disobedience. They're going to ride you to the hole. And just because you had to poo, they're going to let you poo. Now you're going to sit in the dungeon. You might spend, you know what I mean, 2-3 weeks, couple years in the dungeon. Dudes go back to the dungeon for minor infractions and you don't see them again. Or you might not see them till years later. It's some wild stuff. Welcome to Louisiana prisons, where it's a lot different than the other states. These people run the prisons and they run it with manual labor. That's right, manual labor, field labor. Catch your cut. And I ain't saying you got to feel sorry for nobody because probably 95% of the dudes or more are guilty, guilty, guilty. You know, now does it make it right to get mistreated while you're in there? No, it doesn't. But is field labor the worst case scenario? No, it's not. You could die, or then people could lock you in a hole, take you out back, just shoot you and leave you on the ground and make your family pay for the bullet. That's what they do in other countries. But you get a chance. So you go work that field, become a better man, and think about what you did while you're out there picking that okra that you're going to eat later. And you're going to remember that oatmeal okra. And you're going to think to yourself, I ain't never going back to prison. And when I get out, I'm going to live my best life. Welcome to the Pen and the Shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube. And if you haven't, like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. You're going to get stories that you never got nowhere else on no other prison channel. Man, let's get it.